Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Mayor Council, Tuesday, May 27, 2025, starting at 6:30 p.m. 6:31, I apologize. Missy, could you please read the roll?
Mayor Nunziato.
Here.
Council President McGowan.
Present.
Councilwoman Del Rey-Cohn.
Here.
Councilwoman Cotrone.
Here.
Councilman Coakley. Councilman Errico.
Here.
Councilman Guzman.
Here.
Missy, could you, I'm sorry, please stand for the salute to the flag if you're willing and able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Missy, could you please read the provisions?
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, notice of this meeting was transmitted to the Record and Herald News and filed with the Borough Clerk on December 23, 2024, and is posted on the bulletin board outside of Borough Hall.
Thank you. All right, can we please note that Councilman Coakley's arrived?
Noted.
All right, we have some presentations. We're going to start with the Friends of the Library. Jane? Miss Jane? Can the council please join us in front of the dais?
Everybody. Every summer, the public library has a summer reading program that encourages children to read for enjoyment over the course of the summer. Last summer, almost 20,000 books were read by over 900 children that participated in the program. This summer's theme is Color Our World. When children register for the program, they are given a booklet in which to record the titles of the books they read or listen to over the course of the summer. I conduct a contest for children to submit an original drawing for the cover of the booklet. Can you turn that page, please? Thank you. This year we had 76 entries. The entries were judged by 14 judges, and the top 3 drawings were done by the children that are hopefully here tonight. The winners are receiving gift cards to Barnes & Noble provided by the Friends of the Library. So our third place winner is Joanna Chanska. Are you here, Joanna? Our second place winner is Aryan Anish. Aryan, are you here? This is Aryan's drawing, which is beautiful. Congratulations, Aryan. Thank you. And our first place winner is Dia Nandayala. And I think it's important to mention that Dia came in first place last year as well. And second place in 2023. So she is a gifted artist.
Councilwoman Del Rey Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my honor to celebrate the Rutherford Garden Club's 50th anniversary by presenting a proclamation, and I would like to read it for all of you. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Rutherford, whereas the Rutherford Garden Club has reached the significant milestone of its 50th anniversary, and whereas the club has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the beautification of our borough, the education of our residents, and the promotion of civic pride. And whereas the members of the Rutherford Garden Club have generously given their time, talents, and resources to enhance the quality of life for all who live in and visit Rutherford. And whereas their efforts have made a lasting and positive impact on the landscape and the spirit of our community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Rutherford, on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby express our deepest gratitude to the Rutherford Garden Club for its 50 years of dedicated service, commend the club for its outstanding contributions to the beauty, environmental health, and community spirit of Rutherford, celebrate this significant anniversary and recognize the club as a valuable and essential part of our community, and extend our best wishes for continued success in the years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of the Borough of Rutherford that Mayor Frank Nunziato wishes to extend sincere appreciation to the Rutherford Garden Club for their beautification of our borough.
Thank you.
If there are any representatives from the Garden Club that wouldn't mind stepping forward, perhaps the Mayor and Council could take a photo with you.
That's advising we get her up. All right, we're going to start the meeting now, so this is your opportunity to, before we... Agenda changes, Missy?
Yes, under resolutions on consent, we'll be removing item I. Also, there was an updated to the rec summer camp appointments into one memo instead of the 4. If you need a copy, they're available in the clerk's office. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody from the council have any changes? Okay, thank you. I'd ask for a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second? Second. Second by Council President. Questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Rey Cohen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cutrone?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Del Rey Cohen, ordinance on second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move to adopt an ordinance on second read regarding the adopting of flood hazard maps, designating a flood administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance by the mayor and council amending the Borough of Rutherford Code of Ordinances to appeal Chapter 37, to adopt a new Chapter 37, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing severability and effective date.
Thank you. I make a motion to move that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law. Motion.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Del Rey Cohen. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. At this point now, I'll open it up to the public for any comments on this subject and this subject matter only. Anybody wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone. Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public, open it up for any council comment. Seeing none, Missy?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Rey Cohen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotrone?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Abstain.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Thank you. Hearing citizens, anybody wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Anyone wishing to speak for the public? Good evening, sir.
My name is Peter Imbernone. My address is 194 Montrose. I live between the intersection.
Excuse me, can you just try to talk closer to the mic because we'll be able to pick you up?
Yeah. My name is Carlos. My name is Carlos Nadarce. I live at 204 Montrose Avenue, Rutherford. I live between Union and Fairview, more towards Fairview, Joe Jobs, next to Joe Jobs' home. Probably you guys know Joe Jobs, right?
He worked with my father.
Yeah, see? So basically, we are here because there is a ordinance that was put, how many years ago? 30 years ago. 30 years ago, there's no parking between 10 and 12. Shortly when I moved in, shortly after we moved in, the ordinance came into play. Obviously, Pete and myself worked, so it didn't really affect us at all. But now that Pete's retired and I am getting ready to retire, the ordinance is a big issue. I'm a diabetic, and I need a knee replacement. So every once in a while, I need to stay home, mainly because I don't feel strong enough to teach. I'm a high school teacher at Bergen Academy in Hackett. And so, you know, I have to get up and move the car. Peter has to also move his car because we don't want to get tickets. It was okay for about 5 years because COVID hit and everything was basically left alone. You can park, it wasn't an issue. On Easter Monday, my wife and my daughter got ticketed after they had gone to church in the morning, St. Mary's. They came back, they parked the car, and they were, chatting and whatnot. And when my daughter went outside, because they were going to the mall, their cars got ticketed. But it wasn't only my daughter and my wife, but everybody that was parked on there got ticketed because of that 10 to 12 law or ordinance that's on the books. So the problem with that ordinance is that that's really the only stretch of road in Rutherford that has that ordinance. Imagine if that ordinance is in front of your home, so you can't park. If you have loved ones coming to your home, they can't park in front of your house, and it really becomes a problem for us, especially as we get older. And Peter, you could add something to that.
Yeah, most of us have single car driveways. Okay, so, and this thing came about 30 years ago because of one neighbor who was complaining on the corner of Montrose and Union is the New York bus stop, and that people who did not live in the neighborhood were parking in front of her house. She moved away 10 years ago. And this is basically enforced sporadically. And but the thing is that it was recently enforced, and I spoke to the police chief, and basically what he told me was when they do enforce it, only about 1 or 2 tickets go to people who don't live in the neighborhood, and everybody else are the residents of the neighborhood that are getting ticketed. So what we were asking for was either rescind the ordinance or give us some type of parking permit, so the residents that live in the one block can park.
It's really only that one block on Montrose. Everybody loves to walk on Montrose because it has nice sidewalks, the homes look really nice and everything. kind of thing. But I'll be honest, I get people from Felician parking in front of my house. It's what it is, just the way it is. I get Joe Watica's parking in front of my house. I have the synagogue parking in front of my house. Everybody parks that I deal with. It's just part of life. Right? We live in a expanding everyday city. It's a town. It's going to be a city pretty soon. The way we're going. We're going to have to take over East Waterford. That's all anything. But that's the situation we're really in. And we really implore that you guys think about it and see how you can really help us. Because as we hit our golden years, hopefully, we want to be able to come and go and not worry about, how I'm going to move the car. And then for me, I have to park the car on Fairview, either to my right or to my left, and then walk home. As I get older, balance is an issue. I've almost gotten run over twice because they think that Montrose is a speedway, unfortunately. That's just, it is what it is, and I try to mitigate crossing the street rules. But if you guys can think about it and really help us out, not only us, but there's other individuals here that, that affects everyone. It affects the synagogue. It affects us, the residents. It affects anyone that's coming to aid a senior citizen like us, right? They get all sorts of, their aids, and they come in to give, hospice or whatever to the residents there. So basically, on that stretch of road, everyone is turning, to becoming a senior citizen. So they're going to need all sorts of medical services provided to them. And so the issue is where are these people going to park? And that's the big issue also. Everybody's getting older. I think I'm the youngest one. I think they're like 95. I thought it was me.
I got to go with him. Sorry.
Yeah. And that's about it.
Okay, so how it works here is we do not do a back and forth. After everybody gets to speak, then the council will address you. But I'm sure that our council liaison, the police department, Councilman Guzman, and the police chief you'll want to comment on this, and they'll want to sit down with you, and maybe we can come to some kind of resolution that'll suffice.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Brian Hanson Harding, 278 Mountain Way. I'm on the Rutherford Green team. I'd just like to speak in support of the Climate Superfund Act resolution. Maybe the council knows this, but one of the big issues is that because of climate change and increased risk of flooding and heat events, we are threatened with circumstances that will require the borough to be spending money. And the thing is, as you probably know, the federal government probably isn't going to be coming in to help us, take care of these kinds of issues. I think this is it's not just a gesture, but it's saying that we really feel like we have to have a source of funding to deal with the kinds of issues that we're going to be facing. I feel like I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you probably know that the city of Rutherford is at major risk from
Borough.
I'm sorry. The borough of Rutherford. I'm reading something. Apparently there are 1,161 properties in Rutherford at a risk of flooding over the next 30 years, which represents 21% of all properties in Rutherford. And this is from the Rutherford flood map on a website called firststreet.org. I mean, you know about the flooding. I mean, we've had to deal with it, and I don't know if it's going to get better on its own. But so this is something, what we're doing. This is not just a gesture to say, oh, we believe in good things for the environment. It's like, we need to make sure that there's a source of funding to deal with issues that we're going to have to deal with. And I would also like to point out that there is at this point 38 municipalities in New Jersey have already passed the kind of resolution you're considering, including Lyndhurst, which I'd just like to point out is, right down the road. And so I feel like we should keep up with Lyndhurst, if nothing else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public. And now I'm going to, before I open it up to the council, Bob, I didn't know if you wanted to give an update regarding what we're trying to do regarding flooding and as we've been pushing forward like we did with Carnier. I mean, we're trying to use what limited resources we have, and you probably know more than any of us.
So with specific to the Carnier and Inslee, we are soliciting quotations right now to televise the entire stormwater system in that area to identify any cracks, breaks, anything that needs repairs. Our borough engineer has already engaged in 2 projects to address stormwater coming down Francisco and West Passaic that we believe has captured a lot of the stormwater that has caused problems in the Carnier-Inslee area. But now we just want to make sure that the system down there is not compromised in any way. Once we get that televised solution in place, we'll be able to act accordingly, make spot repairs if needed, and if there's a much larger issue to be addressed, then we'll take that next step. But while the spring storms haven't hit yet, we have had a few heavy rain downfalls, and we feel that what has happened so far has definitely made an improvement to that area. And we're fingers crossed that it's going to be a better spring than it has been in recent years. So that's what we're doing on that side of town. Another area that we'll be looking to do is kind of the flooding area that we get by One Orient Way. Right by the train station. That's an area that's gets hit pretty hard during some severe storms, and we're working with the developer or owner of that project there to come up with a solution that will address, especially the first floor of the One Orient Way tenants that kind of get crushed when we get those heavy spring storms. So those are 2 major things that we're working on right now. So hopefully we'll have some positive news in the near future on both.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody from the council?
Thank you. I was going to use the opportunity when we introduced the resolution to explain a little more about the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act, but I'll do it now just to save the time since Mr. Hanson-Harding teed it up. Basically, what this resolution is going to ask is that we demonstrate our support to the New Jersey legislature, which is currently considering this piece of legislation. And what the legislation seeks to do is really to define what it calls responsible parties, which are large entities that have created fossil fuel issues throughout the state that have been proven to have severe negative impacts on our climate. So what it will eventually hopefully achieve is creating a fund from which municipalities like ours could seek money to do the remedies that we need to do to alleviate things like flooding and other causes of climate change resulting from these, quote, responsible parties. So the Green Team and actually other folks in town have come to us and asked us to show support for this legislation. And I really can't stress enough, as my colleagues up here know, support like this does matter. You think that the state legislature may not really pay attention to how many municipalities come out in support in any given piece of legislation, but it really does help. So I think, as Brian mentioned, there are 38. Hopefully there will be 39 after today. So that resolution is going to be up for our vote shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Peter and Carlos, forgive me, I wrote your last names down, but I can't read my own writing, so I apologize. Thank you for coming in today and advising of the situation that you are currently dealing with and maybe have been dealing with for a while. Right now, what I'd like to say to you is I'm going to get group with our borough administrator as well as our chief here, pull the ordinance and see what it has to say, actually understand the purpose of the ordinance, why it was put in place, and review it further with my council colleagues here as well to get a little bit more background on it before we are able to really dive into this and see if anything can be changed. I'm not saying anything can be changed or it can't. Let me do our due diligence here. I'd like to have both of your email addresses before you leave, if I may, so that we can contact you and give you further feedback on what our findings are. But thank you very much for coming in today. Much appreciated. Brian, thank you once again for always coming in and supporting, trying to make things right for the borough and helping us out. So much appreciated. Mayor, that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else from the council wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the council. I hope that I understand what your concerns are, and I'm fairly more than confident that the councilman and my council colleagues here will find a solution that works for all. We have one of the best police chiefs, so if somebody could figure it out, and this gentleman, we'll figure it out. On now, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. All items authorized to be consent by the council will be enacted by one motion. These items are routine in nature. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Delray Cohen. Any questions or comments by the council? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Delray Cohen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Quattrone?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes, with the abstention on the minutes from previous meeting. Thank you.
Noted. Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
All right, new business. Councilman Errico.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first item I have is a discussion item for illegal or potentially illegal basement apartments. This comes from the zoning department. The zoning department currently feels as though there are basement apartments being constructed throughout the borough that our current zoning ordinances are not able to prevent. For example, people are submitting permits to construct full kitchens and full bathrooms in a basement. And it sort of looks like a separate unit. And these are typically done in single-family or small multifamily homes where another unit would not be permitted. So there are, I think, a number of ways to address this. We have a definition in our current ordinance, our current code for a dwelling unit, but that might be, we could change that. That was our zoning official's recommendation. I think there are a few other things we could do in terms of defining what a basement is, or the location of a unit, or whatever it may be. But I want to bring this up for discussion in case the council has any other ideas or thoughts or comments on this. And just to be clear, it's not limited to basements per se. I think that's the most pressing issue, but there also have been permits for things like attic units or suspected attic units or things of that nature.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody from the council have any comments for the councilman? Good, Councilman.
Thank you. Councilman, just a general question. What exactly would be the ideal end game for regulation on this particular type of effort? And the only reason I ask is I had a recent constituent asking whether or not, his current single family would qualify to be able to rent out. And we took a look and it doesn't fall under the current guidelines. One, do we have the capacity as a department to be able to enforce? And two, what is the kind of general end game here? Are we looking to inspect on general, I'll use the word suspicion, but that's not quite appropriate? Has there been any discussion to that length to date?
Yeah, I think those are great questions. The instant
problem that I'm seeking to address right now are when someone would put in a permit for permitted work to build a basement kitchen or a basement full bathroom. So that I think is a pretty easy or direct problem to solve, where someone's putting in a permit. And right now, there's the concern that we can't not approve a permit for, say, a kitchen in a basement, given our current ordinances, which I think is an issue. The separate issue, I think, would be, enforcement in general of our code, and we've had issues with that in the past. We do now have employees in the building department and zoning departments that I think are more able to do those sorts of inspections and enforce our code. But, the ultimate end goal is that, a single-family home should be a single-family home, right? So if that's a single dwelling unit, and certainly that can be rented, but only rented as a contiguous unit, not individual subunits within the home. That would be, functionally a multifamily home. So, maybe there's something there too in terms of enforcement or inspections or whatever that we can look at. But the direct issue, I think, is that when we get a permit application for someone building, what functionally looks like a separate basement apartment, right now our zoning official feels powerless to deny that application, even though we all know that it might be for an impermissible unit, essentially.
Thank you. Anybody else from the council? Any questions? What steps would you like to take next?
I think I'm going to work with our zoning official. I'll work with Bo, who I've discussed this with before, and with Bob to craft an ordinance. We can circulate and discuss it at the next meeting.
Chief, would you like to be included in that discussion? I love that look. All right, what's the next one you have?
Thanks, Mayor. So this is a separate issue regarding billboards. So our Board of Adjustments, which is our Borough Zoning Board, heard a case recently about a commercial billboard that an applicant asked to erect at the Luke Oil on Route 17. That application was approved, but essentially under the threat of litigation against the borough. For context, our existing borough ordinances are essentially silent on commercial billboards entirely, but that means that they're not permitted. Because we don't explicitly permit them in any zone, they're prohibited in all zones. In the course of the discussion that we had during these Board of Adjustment meetings and with the board's attorney, and with our borough attorney, it became clear that our current blanket prohibition on billboards is probably legally problematic from a First Amendment perspective. The Luke Oil billboard that I just referenced was approved by the board, and that approval might prevent other billboards from being erected, at least on that side of Route 17. But there are other billboards that are in the pipeline that the board might face in the near future. And it's my feeling that we shouldn't put the Board of Adjustments in a difficult position of approving applications under the threat of litigation because our ordinances are not sufficient. So my proposal is to work with Bo and perhaps our Board of Adjustments attorney, Gary, to craft something which is a little more constitutionally acceptable, where we can still have control over billboards and not put the Board of Adjustments in a difficult position for future applications.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody from the council have any, Councilman?
I personally just want to thank the councilman for bringing this to us as the liaison to the Board of Adjusters, and having been in that position before, I agree wholeheartedly about the challenge of the boards facing issues when they could be addressed in ordinances if revisited. And so this certainly seems like a prime one to revisit, especially in lieu of the legal guidance that was provided. So I appreciate the effort of sharing that with us, and I'd be very willing to participate in reviewing this situation moving forward.
Anybody else from the council? Councilman?
I suspect we're probably overlapping. So to that point, in the Board of Adjustments, I did have a personal conversation with one of the sitting members. And the major concern about this particular billboard is they are one of those massive LED ones, right, with the rotating, signals inside. I personally have one across the Route 3 bridge that shines directly into my house from probably 300 yards away. I always know it's there when it's the winter because the leaves are down. So anyway, one of the big concerns that we brought up or ideas was is there something to the current lighting ordinance that, light pollution ordinance that we recently talked about and discussed and brought forth, that could help us kind of tie in or lock this sort of thing down? So I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Councilman?
We did overlap, actually. I just wanted to say, first, I would be interested in understanding how the existing lighting ordinances may or may not be helpful. I'm not sure when we get too far down Route 17 and staying in Rutherford how helpful it'll be, but I'm happy to look at that as well. And to that end, and just for residents who do not know, we've sort of looked at our lighting ordinances earlier this year. We created or voted to have a lighting ordinance with regard to residential properties to sort of prevent floodlights from shining into your neighbors' living rooms when they're trying to rest. But there was an existing ordinance with regards to commercial lighting, so perhaps we can look at that overlap. The other thing I just wanted to say is just to thank Councilman Errico. In his short time on the council, he really has taken such a hard look at our ordinances to evaluate what has been problematic or potentially due to be changed. And that's not necessarily the most fun job, but he's well equipped to do it. We all sort of have our lanes here on the council based on our expertise. So he's very, very well equipped to do it. But a review of the ordinances is something that he has really taken on, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else? Councilman Guzman.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Councilman Errico, thank you very much once again for bringing this forward. You said that the board, and you said that had approved, that's the Board of Adjusters that has approved this current signage. Was there any talk about height restrictions, or is there anything currently in our ordinance that has any language about height restrictions?
So there are restrictions on height of buildings, structures, but we don't have any language about billboards specifically, which is part of the issue. So the board approved, I believe they had initially asked for a 65-foot billboard. I think the approval was for a 60-foot billboard. But part of the rationale for us as a council working on this was that we could, possibly through a conditional use provision or something like that, impose our own restrictions on these sorts of things. And to the points about lighting as well, I think those are great ideas and very well taken. And this is kind of why I want us to address this, because I don't want necessarily to put the board in a position where they're having to make these decisions when we could make these decisions, in public. So, and I appreciate all the comments before as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Obviously, you'll get with the appropriate parties, and we'll move forward as far as our next steps. Thank you. Next up, we have council members' assignments. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick things to share. As a gentle reminder, and always an advocacy of our 55 KIP Center, we are so extraordinarily fortunate in Rutherford to have a place that welcomes and provides fellowship and friendship for seniors in our community and the surrounding communities to come together and have a meal or take a class or learn how to paint. And it's just such an amazing place. And Kathy Baviello and her entire team, what they do is amazing. And so trying to be a good liaison, and I'm walking the fine line, but I'm going to encourage you to attend Summer Mixology. So it's on June 13th. It's from 7 to 9 p.m. Tickets are for sale. Please reach out. It's fun. Go with a friend. Go with a group of people. At the very least, know that you are making a wonderful impact to an organization that we love to support and we're so proud of. Secondly, this week begins the end of the year events for Rutherford High School. And I want to acknowledge and shout out the class of 2025 as they begin their senior awards ceremony, which is this Friday. Let's finger cross for good weather so they can be outside. And of course, prom Friday night. And as always, our community has been so supportive. And so if you're around, they always like to go to Lincoln Park and take beautiful pictures and just a gentle reminder about how extraordinary this community is. So please be safe, have a wonderful time, and enjoy the beginning of these wonderful activities. So congratulations to the class of 2025. And I wanted to end, I'm stealing Mike Tarantino's words. Mike Tarantino is the captain of our Rutherford Ambulance Corps. So Mike, I know you're watching. You always watch these meetings, so I want to apologize, but I actually can't say it better, so I'm stealing your words. May 18th to 24th was EMS week. We are ridiculously fortunate in Rutherford. We are one of the very few communities where every single member is an EMT. That is not the case. That is the gold standard. And we have this embarrassment of riches. And so Mike sent out this very beautiful note to the entire Corps, and so I'd like to share it with you all. As captain, I want to express my sincere thank you and appreciation for everyone during the 2025 EMS week. Your sincere commitment, dedication, tireless efforts are the backbone of our squad, and you are the reason we can provide such high-quality care to the residents of Rutherford. Every day, our members respond to calls with professionalism, compassion, and courage. We handle challenging situations with skill and grace, often under immense pressure. Whether it is a medical emergency, a trauma incident, or providing comfort and support during a crisis, you all consistently go beyond the call of duty. The work you do is not easy. It requires long hours, personal sacrifice, and a deep commitment to serving others. You are the first line of defense in our community, and your actions make a real difference in the lives of those we serve. During this EM week, and always, please know that your contributions are valued and they're recognized. Thank you for your service, your professionalism, your unwavering dedication. Please keep up the great work. You make Rutherford Ambulance Corps proud. And I'd like to add to that, you make this community extremely proud. And so, thank you. Thank you to your families that sacrificed so that you could be there to care for every single member of this community and beyond. And while I'm at it, I'd also like to thank our other extraordinary services, the police department and our fire department. We are, this is a close-knit community. We care for each other, literally. And we saw that during the pandemic. It was on full display and it's never stopped. And so despite the fact that we don't talk about it every single second, how lucky. I just want to remind the residents of Rutherford, and certainly all of us, how lucky are we to have these extraordinary people caring for us. So thank you, Mike, for the most perfect words, and thank you to the EMS. Thank you, Mayor.
You're not wasting your words on me. Councilwoman Delray Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to remind the community that the Pride Alliance's Pride Fest is being held on Saturday, June 7th, which is a week from this Saturday, from 12 to 4 p.m. in Lincoln Park. The borough will have its Pride flag raising immediately prior to the Pride Fest at 11:15, I believe it is, right outside Borough Hall. If anyone has not attended Pride Fest, it really is a wonderful, wonderful community event. I would even go so far as to say beyond this community. I know we have visitors from all various municipalities and towns throughout Bergen County. So I do encourage you. It's a family event for people of all ages. So I hope to see you there. Also, I just wanted to, again, thank the American Legion and Post 109 for probably the most beautiful Memorial Day celebration acknowledgement that I've been to, at least since my time here in Rutherford. From the parade to the remarks, it really just was so beautiful and well done. I learned quite a bit. It is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, which ended in April of 1975. So there was also special acknowledgement for our servicemen and women, both who have passed away, but also those who are still living, who served us in Vietnam. So I just wanted to thank that community of veterans and, frankly, leaders for ushering us through such a beautiful morning yesterday. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Quattrone.
Thank you, Mayor. As my colleague just mentioned, yesterday was Memorial Day, and it is a special and important moment to stop and remember the sacrifices that have been suffered so that we can live good, stable, free lives in this prosperous country. As many know, I work every single day to help veterans in New York City live better lives by accessing disability benefits, obtaining better housing, and safeguarding their health care, among many other things. I find it important that we pause this week, the week beginning on Memorial Day, to remember exactly what those who fought so hard are preserving. They fought to safeguard everything that is currently being torn down and dismantled by the Trump administration. Our right to Social Security, Medicaid, and other health care. Our right to live in a country that has institutions doing top-notch research to combat disease. Our right to due process and a hearing before we are deported or imprisoned, our right to a judicial system that has power to rein in the abuses of the executive branch, our right to safeguard our private tax and financial data from the federal government, our right to legal representation by law firms not beholden to the president because of blackmail or extortion, the right to a free press not attacked at every turn and threatened by the federal government, our right to study at universities who make their own academic rules and choose their own students, including international students, and the list goes on. These are rights we are losing. We need to think of Memorial Day as a reminder of the tremendous value and cost of these rights and these privileges. They were incredibly expensive to those who paid the price, and they should be treated like the precious gifts they most certainly are. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our veterans and to those who paid the ultimate price. I know I will always treat the rights you have won for me and our community as those I must protect and defend at all costs. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Coker.
Thank you. I'm going to do something a little different tonight and step down to where the citizens normally speak. So thank you for your patience in this moment.
Councilman Errico.
Thank you all for your time and attention. Am I being registered, Missy? Is this okay?
So, yes.
Okay, thank you. You all have seen me speak before when I'm passionate about things. I'm going to try and power through this. Kira, when you hear this, know that this is for you, and thank you for giving me the courage to be better every day. Just about 1 year ago, a resident stood at this podium and questioned my integrity and accused me of thinking I am better than everyone else. And while every portion of that blanketed statements which framed that accusation were wildly untrue, there is one person I actually do strive to be better than. And that person is who I was yesterday. Those of us who subscribe to that life development method are keenly aware that that is a never-ending journey of self-reflection, learning, and reconciliation. Recently, as part of that process, I came across a political philosophy defined by Karl Popper in 1945 called the paradox of tolerance, or the tolerance paradox. In summary, it states that if a tolerant society tolerates intolerance, then the intolerant people or groups may eventually consume and destroy the tolerant society itself, eliminating the very tolerance that allowed the intolerance to grow. I raise this today because in our current state, I believe I can no longer allow intolerance, which inspires hate and the marginalization of others and the people I love, to grow. I'm choosing to start here, on this scale, in this room, with this group in front of me. Several months ago, on January 27th, Councilwoman Delray Cohn gave a speech detailing her relationship with Mayor Nunziato. In that courageous speech, Councilwoman Delray Cohn recounts many moments that I either witnessed firsthand or experienced myself personally and with others during my time as a colleague of Mayor Nunziato's. I'm ashamed to say that I personally used to brush off these episodes of Mayor Nunziato's boorish behavior with an "oh, Frank," or similar. I tolerated it because of the perception that I was his friend and we needed him to lead this team. It turns out, however, that we do not need him at all, and I never really was his friend. As reconciliation, I want to validate a few of the Councilwoman's brave words, but I recommend everyone go back to that meeting and listen again. From the beginning, I was there on the corner of Union and Park Avenues when the mayor told Councilwoman Quattrone and Councilwoman Delray Cohn that they only won their primary in 2022 because they were pretty. I was there. And I too, like the councilwomen, was told to sit back and be quiet for the first year or so of my first term, as if our effort and individual experiences were not valid enough to contribute for a full year to the process of governing this wonderful place, as if we lacked the understanding to work towards a common goal of protecting and bettering this borough for all of our constituents. For the record, I have personally not spoken to the mayor since last July. I finally had enough of franking his lies, masterful manipulation of the truth, and degradation of others. What is so ironic to me about the culmination of the situation tonight in this speech is that the mayor has always referred to this job as being responsible for a $36 million a year company. However, while mostly true, what is wild in theory is that we have no actual HR division, which any multi-million-dollar a year company has. Because if we had an HR division, the mayor would have been fired years ago for his inappropriate conduct, treatment of others, and language aimed at his colleagues. To that end, two areas of his continued manipulation of public messaging need to be addressed. First is the idea that there is dissent amongst us council members, and second, that Councilwoman Delray Cohn is difficult to work with. Firstly, there is dissent on the council, the good kind. And most of you who tune into these meetings and have seen some of it would agree. The council president and I have had several 55-mile-per-hour head-on collisions, proverbially speaking. But what you don't see nor hear are the phone calls, cups of coffee, and hugs that happen afterwards as we come to a mutually agreed-upon solution and move forward. That is what real leaders do. We listen to each other respectfully, work through the dissent, and find the common ground. Secondly, this idea that Councilwoman Delray Cohn is difficult to work with, which has been regurgitated endlessly by people with zero experience working with her, is a farce of biblical proportions. She, alongside the council president, are two of the most present, hardworking, and well-informed people on this dais. It is an honor and a privilege to work alongside them, Councilman Guzman, Councilwoman Quattrone, and now Councilman Errico. All of these people have earned their way up here, and none of us should be denigrated by the mayor himself, as we have all helped him to get to that chair 2 times over. The truth is that you, Mayor Nunziato, are the difficult one. You have failed to step up and lead us as a team on a multitude of pivotal occasions. I say these things out loud to you because I realize now, after time away from what I was sold as a friendship, that you don't actually have the capacity for friendship nor even relationships, as you alluded to in your most recent newsletter. What you have are transactions. And when one of your transactions becomes less than cost effective for you, you cut it loose, oftentimes with unfounded vitriol and malice. Relationships, friendships, leadership, and governing require real, actual work and dedication to another person and peoples. It requires patience and the ability to listen when someone tells you your behavior is disrespectful or doesn't work for them. I'm watching you now spend thousands of dollars and an inordinate amount of time on an effort rooted in spite. I know you'll continue on with your pomp and circumstance that it is your vision for the future of Rutherford, but I'm here to remind you that this playbook you're currently using to spite a more than qualified woman is the same one you used for me back in 2020, without the malicious intent. I was the person you tapped in 2019 to bridge the new and old Rutherford, using those exact same words you used a few months ago in the basement of the Park Tavern. I was the person you introduced to your old boys club over a dinner, like wings and beer at Sharky's. I was the person you trotted out in front of the library gala to make announcements so that people would ask, who is that? I was the person you said was now a part of your inner circle. I was the person you said was your brother. But like the black sheep in any family, I can no longer stand idly by and tolerate your intolerance for a colleague who only called us out for our shenanigans and asked for equal footing from the jump. She was right, Frank, and you only have yourself to reconcile with.
Okay, then. Councilman Errico.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to update on the short-term rental ordinance, which was a discussion item we had last week. I'm working with our borough administrator this week, and hopefully at the next meeting we'll have something ready to go. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have nothing to report on my liaison assignments. However, I'd like to remind the public and invite the public on Saturday, May 31st. It's a joyous occasion for the borough. We'll have a grand opening at 11 o'clock a.m. on Saturday, May 31st. Grand opening of Diamond Forest Stadium, something that's been long overdue, and it's been an effort by every single council member on this dais, our mayor, our borough administrator, all of our department heads, public, young ladies that wanted to see this happen for many, many, many years. I've seen it for 14 years and have advocated for 14 years, along here with my council colleagues and a lot of parents. It's a joyous day for the borough to see this finally happen. And once again, it's going to be on Saturday, May 31st at 11 a.m. And I also like to give one shout out to a very special person to help make this happen, and that's Senator Paul Sarlo. So thank you very, very much, and hopefully we get to see you down the field on May 31st at 11 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman. My report tonight, I have nothing to report. I have some appointments. Summer staff for the camp, we have attached memos. That's for council consent.
Motion.
Motion by Council President, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments by the council? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Ricone?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Quattrone?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Thank you. Next I have is William Gomez, Park Ranger, effective May 28th, 2025. A motion, okay, a motion for council consent?
Motion.
Motion by Council President, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Del Ricone. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Ricone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Quattrone?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Thank you. And now I'll open up to the hearing of citizens again for agenda and agenda items only. Anybody have anything to say? Seeing none. Anybody from the council? Seeing none. I'm going to end the meeting and ask for an adjournment. May I have a Council President?
Motion.
Motion by Council President. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.